Thank you for giving me the opportunity to talk to you today about my experience as an Arab American writer and about my book, Looking Both Ways. When I was 8 years old, I immigrated to the United States with my parents in 1969. I believe that experience is really what made me become a writer. Writing became a way to make sense out of the turmoil I was experiencing as a young immigrant. And reading became both an escape and a way to understand my life experiences, to put them in a larger context. Perhaps it was also language that brought me to writing. We continued to speak Arabic at home, and I struggled to learn English in school. From early on, I understood that my life had a certain duality that expressed itself in two languages and two cultures. Writing became a way to untangle or perhaps to explore that duality. In college and graduate school, I often felt out of place as a writer. Most of my peers had no knowledge of Egypt and had never met someone from Egypt. Their comments on my work made me feel like they wanted a tourist brochure or a cultural explanation rather than a poem or a short story. I became discouraged and didn't write for several years, feeling that no one would be interested in the stories I wanted to tell. One of the key experiences that helped me to grow as a writer was the 3 years I spent in Egypt teaching at the American University in Cairo. These 3 years allowed me to experience my homeland as an adult. I reconnected with my extended family, made my way back to the past I had left behind as a child, and also moved forward with new experiences. This helped me to understand my own identity as an Egyptian and feel connected to the place and the people who made me who I am. Once I felt firm in that foundation, my writing grew more confident, and I knew that my stories had value. My most recent book, Looking Both Ways, came about unexpectedly. In between working on other projects, something would happen, and I would stop to write about it. Writing an essay was a way to discover what the experience meant to me. One of the first essays I wrote was the one about our cat Shango. When he died, I was surprised at how sad I felt, and I needed to understand my emotions. Writing the essay allowed me to realize that this cat had been with my husband and me since the beginning of our relationship. Both literally and figuratively, he had traveled with us from place to place as we created our lives together. Perhaps the essay that became a turning point in the book is the camel caper. When our nativity camel was stolen, I was genuinely upset and did everything I recount in the essay with complete seriousness. It wasn't until it was over that my husband said one colleague had asked if the camel came back with a story. It was at that moment that I realized how ridiculous my actions had been, and I started to laugh at myself and at the situation. I was then able to write the essay through that lens of humor. I think I discovered my sense of humor as a writer with that essay, and it stayed with me, allowing me to approach a number of these essays in that way, allowing for a more lighthearted approach to writing about the immigrant experience. The Egyptian Revolution happened while I was working on Looking Both Ways. I was on the phone almost every day with my family in Egypt, and I was often asked to explain to people in the US what was going on and why this revolution was happening. I wrote several essays about the revolution, but I wasn't sure they belonged in the book. They had a more serious tone, and I had envisioned this book as being humorous. It took me a while to decide that these essays could have a place in the book, and that there was also a way to find the lighter touches that could enter into these essays. That there was value in allowing the serious and the humorous to sit side by side, and that they could speak to each other in the pages of the book. After I had written a number of essays, I began to think that they might work together as a book. I kept writing, and when I felt I had enough work, I printed out all the essays and laid them on the living room floor, and then I sat in the middle of them. I started moving them intuitively, putting them next to each other, creating the pattern and movement that turned them from individual pieces to a cohesive collection of memoir essays. My hope is that Looking Both Ways will make readers laugh and then enable them to see aspects of the immigrant experience more deeply. Thank you.